The time is 8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Dilini Gunawardena and read by Tilani Pires. The headlines. The President proposes an island-wide dialogue to shape a future Sri Lanka driven by the youth. A special parliament session is convened at the request of the Prime Minister. Plant quarantine service at Colombo Seaport is being expanded with new technology. Preparations are underway to develop the Hinguragoda Airport. The Ceylon Chamber of Commerce launches Spark 2024 Youth Entrepreneurship Competition. And on international news, deadly anti-tax protests erupt in Kenya after finance bill approved. Sports, cricket, Afghanistan secure historic T20 World Cup semis. The President Ranil Wickremesinghe underscored the need to initiate a countrywide dialogue on shaping the future Sri Lanka envisioned by its youth. He emphasized the necessity of embarking on a new path towards fostering a robust economy with the younger generation assuming pivotal roles. The President made these remarks today during a youth gathering organized by the National Youth Services Council at the H.M. Veerasinghe Stadium, Ampara. President Wickremesinghe further elaborated that plans are afoot to allocate a portion of the 200 acres of land owned by the Youth Services Council in Trincomalee for the tourism industry, while the remainder will be used to establish a permanent Yovunpura city of youth. This development is expected to be completed within the next 2 years, ensuring it can be freely enjoyed for recreational purposes. Until recently, the people of our country lived in fear for their future. However, it was noted that country's economy is gradually recovering through collective efforts. The senior advisor to the President on National Security and Chief of Presidential Staff, Sagla Ratnayaka, has instructed relevant officials to provide maximum support for the successful organization of the Bora Community Spiritual Conference and Annual Convention in Sri Lanka. These instructions were given during a discussion regarding the upcoming Bora Conference and Convention held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. The Bora Conference and Convention are scheduled to take place from the 7th to the 16th of July at the Bambalapitiya Bora Mosque and the Sri Lanka Convention and Convention Centre, coinciding with the Bora Community Spiritual Conference in Karachi, Pakistan. Approximately 15,000 members of the Bora community from various countries are expected to attend this event. Consequently, extensive discussions were held regarding the provision of all necessary infrastructure. The Korean government and the Korea International Cooperation Agency (KOICA) have started an arrangement to support the program of modernization of the plant quarantine service at the seaport of Colombo. Accordingly, the plant quarantine service at Colombo Seaport has been expanded. The new plant quarantine service building, built at a cost of $1.3 million, was declared open at the Colombo Seaport premises today. Ministers Mahinda Amaravira and Nimasiripala de Silva attended the event. The representatives from the Korean government, Korean ambassador to Sri Lanka, Ms. Myeon Lee, Vice President of KOICA, Mr. Lee Yong-yong, and Country Director of KOICA, Ms. Kim Myun-jing, also participated at this event. From 2019 to 2024, the Korean government implemented a number of programs to modernize the plant quarantine service in Colombo Seaport. The amount they have spent on the project is $7.5 million USDs. Under that, this new building has been constructed and using new technology, necessary research facilities and laboratory facilities have been established for import and export plant quarantine. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Cabinet spokesman and Minister Bandula Gunawardena said the Cabinet gave the green light in making preparations to develop the Hinguragoda Airport as a fully fledged airport. While addressing the media, he said the Hinguragoda Airport is currently being operated by the Sri Lanka Air Force and the need to develop the airport in accordance with international civil aviation standards has been identified. The Ceylon Chamber of Commerce officially launched the Spark Youth Entrepreneurship Competition 2024, setting the stage for aspiring young entrepreneurs across the country to pitch their innovative business ideas. Building on the success of its inaugural edition in 2023, Spark 2024 continues to foster an entrepreneurial spirit among the country's youth, empowering the youth ages 15 to 30 with the skills and resources to drive innovative solutions to social challenges. Participants in the competition will receive expert guidance, mentoring and access to resources enhancing their entrepreneurial capabilities through workshops and boot camps. The competition culminates in a grand finale scheduled for September, where participants will pitch their business ideas and battle it out for the top prizes, including awards, trophies, and opportunities for international exposure. Spark 2024 is supported by the International Labour Organization and entrepreneurship ecosystem partners. Applications for Spark 2024 are open until the 15th of July. Interested participants can submit their entries and obtain more information at spark.chamber.lk. That ends Local News for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
According to the Communications Department of Parliament, a special parliamentary sitting has been scheduled for the 2nd of July at the request of the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe is scheduled to address the nation tomorrow at 8 p.m. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
The UNDP Sri Lanka recently launched the 2023-24 Global Human Development Report themed Breaking the Gridlock, Reimagining Cooperation in a Pluralized World. The report highlights the urgent need to address uneven development, rising inequality, and political polarization. It underscores the importance of building a 21st century architecture for global public goods, dialing down temperatures and pushing back polarization, narrowing agency gaps to address the contemporary development challenges and to accelerate progress on human development and sustainable development. That ends Watchlight. Coming up, World News. World News headlines first. Deadly anti-tax protests erupt in Kenya after finance bill approved. Julian Assange heads to court on US island after plea deal. The first Biden-Trump debate scheduled for this Thursday. Kenya is in the grip of nationwide protests against proposed tax hikes, culminating in a planned total shutdown of the country. Thousands of Kenyan anti-tax protesters, sparked by the Finance Bill 2024, have entered Parliament and part of the building is on fire. Kenyan police have shot at protesters and Reuters reports at least 5 people were shot dead. Protests and clashes also took place in several other cities and towns across the country. However, the Parliament approved the finance bill, moving it through to a third reading by lawmakers. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is due to set off from Bangkok to the Northern Mariana Islands, a U.S. territory, soon. He left the UK after spending 5 years in prison, fighting extradition to the U.S. Last week, he signed a deal with the U.S. that will see him plead guilty to one espionage charge. However, he will not face further prison time after pleading guilty. He will be free to return to Australia. Assange was originally facing 18 charges and feared a long sentence in the U.S. high-security prison. President Joe Biden and his Republican predecessor, former President Donald Trump, will face off in Atlanta, Georgia for the first of 2 debates ahead of November's vote on Thursday. They will spar on issues ranging from the economy and foreign wars to immigration and the future of democracy for 90 minutes. Critics point out a slip-up, stumble, or verbal miscue could cement concerns about the advanced age, with the potential for reshaping an already tight presidential race as voters begin to pay attention. Back to the world news headlines. Deadly anti-tax protests erupt in Kenya after finance bill approved. Julian Assange heads to court on US island after plea deal. The first Biden-Trump debate scheduled for this Thursday. That ends World News.
Development News.
Sri Lanka's textile and apparel industry has showcased the country as a sourcing destination at an exhibition in the United Kingdom. The primary goal of Sri Lanka's participation in the exhibition is to discover new buyers and provide a boost to the country's apparel export sector, aiming to increase apparel exports to the United Kingdom by $1 billion in 2026. Sri Lanka unveiled its Your Vital Island brand to reaffirm its dedication to meeting global standards by preserving its distinctive identity. 40 Sri Lankan exhibitors representing apparel, textile and accessory industries participated at the event held at the Royal Horticultural Hall in London. That came to you in Development News. Moving on with sports news. And it's cricket tonight. Afghanistan sealed a famous win by 8 runs via DLS method in a dramatic rain-affected Super 8 encounter against Bangladesh. Australia is disqualified from the tournament as they needed a Bangladesh win to qualify. Despite Lytton Das carrying the bat to the end with a battling half-century, Rashid Khan's 4-wicket haul inspired Afghanistan to victory, defending at low total. This will be Afghanistan's first appearance at the semi-finals of a major ICC event. That came to you in sports news.
Go ekakiyana youth ekat life eke change ekat niyamata set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekat niyamata set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Slick Life initiated the Sri Lanka Insurance Life Subha Pathum Scholarship Program in 2014 for the children of its life policy holders across the country. This scheme has awarded over 2,000 scholarships worth more than 200 million rupees to date. This year, the scholarship scheme will be rewarding 300 students who excelled in the 2022 Grade 5 Scholarship, 2021-2022 GCE Ordinary Level and 2022 GCE Advanced Level examinations. 75 top-ranking students were selected from each of the 3 examinations, totaling up to 370 students. That came to you in Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekakiyana youth ekat life eke change ekat niyamata set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekat niyamata set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
And on economic news, the government statistics indicate that the local vehicle assembly industry has generated over 3,200 direct and indirect employment opportunities in the past few years, and that it's a $3 million worth industry. The industry has provided 5,000 employment opportunities in companies involved in the motor vehicle business and over 20,000 indirect employment opportunities, providing support services for these companies. This was disclosed at an event hosted recently by the Automotive Component Manufacturers Association of Sri Lanka. That ends economic news.
Weather report.
Showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragama, northwestern provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Mathura districts. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 millimeters, are likely at some places in the Sabaragama province and in Kandy and Nuwara districts. Several spells of showers may occur in the Mathura district. Strong winds of about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the Central Hills, northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in the Trincomalee, Hambantota and Monaragala districts. That was the weather report, and now to in this news broadcast, the main points once again. The President proposes an island-wide dialogue to shape a future Sri Lankan driven by the youth. A special parliament session is convened at the request of the Prime Minister. Plant quarantine service at Colombo Seaport is being expanded with new technology. Preparations are underway to develop the Hinguragoda Airport. The Ceylon Chamber of Commerce launches Spark 2024 Youth Entrepreneurship Competition. And on international news, deadly anti-tax protests erupt in Kenya after finance bill approved. Sports cricket, Afghanistan secure historic T20 World Cup semis. That ends this news broadcast, and now it's back to Chandima Virakon as always on a Tuesday night. Back to you, Chandima.
Thank you very much, Dilani. That was Dilani Peris bringing you the night bulletin of news. 8:50 is the time, and at 9 o'clock we will commence the Family Choice program, and the phone lines will be open from 9 to receive your requests and dedications.